I'm also keen, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk tonight about my drag journey. I'm not a drag queen, sadly. I haven't got the patience or the makeup skills. But I have recently been collaborating quite a lot with drag performers, drag culture in different ways. I have got a performance background. Gillian was mentioning about live literature. So I have done some work around female characters. The piece on the left is from a show called Gimme the Beat Girls, about women writers from the Beat generation. And on the right, that's me vaguely being Emily Dickinson. And I think some of the kind of vagueness around the way that I've kind of wanted to get involved with those characters has been about a nervousness around drag, coming from exposure in the 80s when I was growing up to things like the lovely Two Ronnies and this very affectionate double whammy portrayal of Hinge and Bracket, for those who remember them. But I think at that point, when I was first aware of drag, it was more about female impersonation, whereas now drag seems to have gone somewhere else. You're finding drag in lots of interesting club spaces. Here's CC Blooms in Edinburgh. Also, in a weird linkage, Dennis just mentioned RuPaul. Of course, there's a lot of drag in popular mainstream culture at the moment. One of the things that's happened is that drag seems to have loosened up to not be about trying to look like a woman, but there's a new category that I've heard people talking about called art school drag, which I really like the idea of. Here's one of my favourite Scottish queens, Fran's Gender. Do follow them on Instagram, very entertaining posts, but you can see there's kind of joke on the right there about looking like their authentic self. And I guess I feel like drag has sort of become less about trying to look like a woman and more about trying to look like a drag queen. There's some amazing makeup stuff going on. That's definitely not a look that you could pin down to either gender, really. And that space that's opened up has also let different people get involved in drag, not least women. There's a whole subset of drag queens now called bio queens, biological queens. That's another drag queen that I follow on Instagram, Courtney Conkers. This is all happening in the context of changing politics around gender and sexuality generally, which again is part of this opening up of a space to think about these things, and drag seems to me to be quite a powerful force to play with gender identities. There's a lot of people sort of moving into sort of non-binary identities, and that box is appearing on more forms, which is great. There was a wee bit of a stooshy a couple of years ago, because drag culture still has the power, I think, to kind of rub some people up the wrong way at times in quite a powerful political way. Some of the trans members of the Glasgow Free Pride Committee were uncomfortable with drag performance because they thought of it in some ways as being misogynistic or transphobic. Drag queens fought back at a ban on drag performance. There was a sort of global outcry. Here's Chris Hyde's. That's a fairly typical reaction. Ban drag queens from Pride? And it was pointed out by various people that drag queens started the Stonewall riots, and yeah, they're a big part of queer identity and history. And also, I think there's a kind of class thing that was pointed out. A lot of working class queer people have access to drag culture. Even the church got involved in that argument. Here's a nice minister called Kevin Reynolds who tried to calm everyone down and seems very happy with a bunch of genderqueer nuns at Pride in Glasgow there. Here's me with my good friend and Jean-Francois Krebs, who's a drag queen, amongst other great art things. Here he is as Etoile. Around the same time as the argument I've just talked about was happening in 2015, I got really interested in the drag community, and Jean-Francois kindly let me tag around various nights in Edinburgh. There were lots of entertaining moments. There's the drag queens making friends at Electric Circus. You never have to persuade a drag queen too hard to pose, so there's a lot of time taking photographs in funny corners of Edinburgh clubs or indeed streets, and a lot of the nights ended up in the chippy, traditionally enough. Because of the fun times I was spending in that community and talking to Jean-Francois, we thought it would be fun to make some sort of art event together to explore some of the conversations that were happening around drag. And the Scottish Poetry Library, which was just being refurbished, were up for it. I work in literature and poetry, So this seemed like a great place to do it, and plus they had a very attractive voguing balcony that they just built, perhaps not specifically for that purpose. So we did a night called The Library is Open. Those of you that are fans of RuPaul will get the reference. Here was us taking some publicity photographs for it. It was quite entertaining seeing the looks on the Auden reading group that was happening in the next seminar room while we were doing this. People just didn't say anything. It was very surprising. Yeah. But there's Jean-Francois as Vonda, looking very sexy, doing their reading that night. We also worked with an amazing American poet called Andy Emmett, who wrote a poem for every single episode in Series 7 of RuPaul's Drag Race. And they Skyped in to read some of those. So that was good fun as well. That was a great night, which we enjoyed doing, and we worked with Jennifer Williams, who's fabulous. She's standing on the right, like a little angel there. She's the outgoing programming director at the Scottish Poetry Library, and that was me and Jennifer and Jean-Francois posing gaily afterwards. And we must have done something right, because we've been nominated for Creative Edinburgh's award, for the Creativity Award, which we'll find out on Thursday if we've won. They're having their 5th birthday as well. So, it's a good time to be 5. But thank you very much for listening and for sharing a bit of my drag fan journey.